For a year, Tahrir Square has been at the heart of a tumultuous struggle for freedom. Last February, people from all over Egypt united in their desire to bring down a dictator and build a new country. This world has followed the lives of 3 young revolutionaries. Ahmed came from Cairo's back streets to fight for an Egypt where he can find work. For Gigi, it is a battle for freedom. While Tahir wants to build an Islamic state. Some dreams have been crushed. Others have come closer. It was a year which has divided families. And a year that risked dividing the nation. Once just another roundabout in Cairo, Tahrir Square became the crucible of the Arab Spring. Could Egypt become the model for an Islamic democracy in the Middle East? Or would the dreams evaporate into intolerance and another dictatorship? The battle begins on Police Day, the 25th of January 2011. Inspired by the successful uprising in Tunisia, unofficial opposition groups called for a demonstration against corruption and police brutality.
The 25th of January, I remember that the first thing I did that day, I went to get another battery for my BlackBerry.
At 24, student Gigi Ibrahim is a veteran of illegal protest.
Going into residential areas for people to join us.
We started like being tens, and then we grew into hundreds, and then we grew into thousands. But I didn't realize the impact of it until I reached Tahrir. And I was just so happy, and I have this clip and video that was the exact moment I knew this was a revolution. We were in Tahrir, and a huge wave of officers, of Central Security officers, started to run. The people first ran as the normal reaction, but then they stopped. Some people started attacking, and then a wave of protesters just ran after the officers, and the officers actually ran away. I'm like, Yalla! Yalla ya shab! Yalla ya shab! Yalla ya shab! I'm like, let's go. We've waited 30 years for this. Let's do it. I mean, this was the moment for me where I physically saw people not being afraid and running after officers.
That night, the thousands become tens of thousands, who begin to camp out in the square.
أنا ممكن أكون أنا شفت بقى الحرية. تعلمت الحرية اللي مش موجودة على الأرض في مكان.
Ahmed Hassan joins the demonstration, angry after years of suffering everyday humiliations at the hands of the state.
أحسن فعلا أيام أجمل أيام عشتها هم الكام يوم اللي احنا عشناهم في الميدان مع بعض. أنا مش قادر أنسى الموقف ده، كل ما بفتكره رجلي بتوجعني. في بعض من الأوقات بيقولوا عليه كبر العشاق، الحبايب الحبيبة ولد وبنت بيحبوا إنهم يقفوا على كبر أصلا. حاجة غريبة علينا، ابتدينا اتضمينا فرقونا، ضرب مسيل الدموع، ضرب خرطوش، كله دخل في بعض. اللي مسكنا منهم بيموت، بقت حرب.
Over the next 17 days, as the confrontation escalates, hundreds are killed. Instead of leaving, the crowd grows. Ahmed is still there on February the 10th and watches on an improvised screen as President Mubarak appears on TV to calm his people.
أقول لكم قبل كل شيء أن دماء شهدائكم وجرحاكم لن تضيع هدرا وأؤكد أنني لن أتهاون
The vast crowd, now made up of every strand of Egyptian society, are united in their response, waving their shoes, the ultimate sign of disrespect in the Arab world. That night, the army, for years a mainstay of the Mubarak regime, takes control. At 6 p.m, a general arrives at the state TV building with a recorded message from the vice president. He orders it to be broadcast immediately.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أيها المواطنون، قرر الرئيس محمد حسني مبارك تخليه عن منصب رئيس الجمهورية.
مبروك لمصر، مبروك لمصر، مبروك لمصر. انت مبارك، فينيش 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 مبارك.
The army joins the protesters on the square, promising to oversee a transition to a democratic Egypt. The morning after, Gigi and fellow revolutionaries celebrate by clearing up their mess. There is a sense that a new era has begun.
My dad. Hello. بابا ازيك؟ لا بجد هو انت مش متخيل كل الناس شايليني يعني على السما. He's asking about like what happens next, you know, he's asking me. My dad asking me. That never happens. Life has to go back to normal. Like, you know, people gotta go back to work and well now we fight back. We fight legitimately, you know, for free and fair elections where the people are gonna choose democratically for the first time ever. Now the real hard work starts, really. Like, it begins now.
Across Cairo, Ahmed returns home to the slum of Shubra, where unemployment runs at over 30%. He lives with his widowed mother, Awatef, and younger brother, Amr. They are glued to the new debate shows on TV.
يعني اتمنى ان البرامج اللي جايه كلها كده تبقى سياسيه.
يستضيفوا هيجيبوا لما يقول لك كمان ازاي مشوا مبارك مبارك حرام عليكم.
بناتوا ايه؟ بناتوا ايه ربنا ياخدك ويولع فيك انت وهو في يوم واحد. بناتوا ايه الحرامي ده؟ يسرق البلد ويشحتنا الناس. يعرف
Ahmed is convinced that his life has changed for the better.
ان شاء الله الله يشوف. بعد 25.
God willing, I will find work. Now, after an employer finds out that I was part of the revolution, he will never treat me badly, like before. Impossible.
مستحيل.
At his barbershop, Ahmed is the local hero.
هم ما كانوش مصدقين ان احنا هنعملها. ما كانش مصدق الجزمة، والتاني يقول لي انت هتخش امن الدولة. ما رحتش ليه يا محمود؟ انا الاسد اساسا. ما رحتش ليه؟ طب والتاني انت عملت ايه في الشغل يعني؟ تعبت قد ايه؟ ده احنا عملنا لكم الصاحي يا عم. حالات تجيب الثورة.
They are conscious the world has been watching.
سنة هنكسب 100 سنة قدام. كفاية انك كسبت كرامتك بس قدام العالم كله. ودلوقتي العالم كله بيقلد الشعب المصري. أولا الدول العربية وثانيا الدول الأوروبية. كله بيقلد الشعب المصري في الثورة. حتى ما حدش قال تونس قالوا احنا.
Every day at dawn, Ahmed's mother, Awatef, gets up to purchase vegetables for her market stall. Not everyone supports the revolution.
لسه لغايه دلوقتي يقول لك انا من انصار مبارك. انا هدفك في الترعه بعد كده.
والله العظيم من وقتها وانا عندي جنب كتر دعاك عليا. كل شويه يدعي عليا يقول لي انت سبب عمان الثوره، مفيش يوم نيجي هنا اللي ماليش بتخانق انا وهو. اللهم سهل ربنا يكفينا شر السواقين الاخرين ما يتنحوش. ولا عندك ما يروحش يعني، انت مش غريب مننا برضه. خلي طيب.
Under Mubarak, the police was seen as a constant menace. Harassment of a market trader had sparked the revolution in Tunisia.
That boy set fire to himself. You'd never catch me doing that, poor kid. Government trucks would clear the street by force. My friend the baker suffered more than any of us. Since the day he moved in by my stall, he's been dragged to and from the police station. They wouldn't let him go till they took a £100 bribe. No one dared to speak or they'd get beaten and taken to the police station too. That's how we used to live.
This is the Nile River smell. I wish I have more time to come here often. My dad is here every single week.
Gigi inhabits a different world. She is the American-educated daughter of a wealthy industrialist.
My dad is a businessman, you know. He had benefited, but at the same time in the past few years he really had suffered also from the regime. ايه ده؟ ازيك؟
بس يا احمد. She let me feel I'm a failure.
No.
Honest true, after this, how come we stand? I'm 55, 56 years old now. I stay with the Mubarak regime for 30 years, and I didn't even think even to change. How many generation was useless not to stand to say no. You know, this is what I feel. I feel bad.
Not everyone buys into the euphoria. Gigi's aunt and sister are worried.
انتوا حبة عيال عاملين عملتوا ثورة وخربتوا البلد.
طيب ممكن اقول لك طب وجهة نظري؟
وجهة نظرك انا مش مقتنعة بيها. بعدين انت مصرية يا جيجي كمان مش امريكانية. مصرية بالظبط. انت لما تبقى ضد بلدك ضد عرضك.
انا مع الشعب، انا ضد السلطة اللي خربانة والاستبداد والطاغية.
الناس كلها واقفة تقول له نعم، هم اللي ادوا له يقعد 30 سنة.
الناس عارفة يا عمته، الناس مش عارفة. انتوا بس عشان مش متواصلين بالشارع، والتلفزيون ده اللي هو اساسا بيعمل برين واشنج.
وبعد اخرتها سودة.
في جيل جديد يا عمته، 60% من الجيل المصري جيل جديد ما اختارش مبارك، حقه انه يختار حد جديد.
Before the revolution, religious groups were ruthlessly suppressed. The only real opposition to Mubarak was the illegal Muslim Brotherhood. Now they are in the open, along with other Islamic groups, such as the ultra-conservative Salafis. 24-year-old Tahir Yassin is a Salafi. He has been imprisoned 7 times from the age of 16 for organizing Quran classes. For the first time in his life, he is free to preach as he wishes.
منذ عهد الرئيس الفاسق الفاجر مبارك، ذلك الذي باعنا وباع جنودنا. نحن نعيش الآن في غضون أيام لابد أن يستعد فيها المسلم بأقصى درجات الاستعداد. هذه الخيانة هي مسمار في نعش هؤلاء الكفار.
Yeah, I feel more freedom after 25th revolution. I can do any charity work, any activities I can do. Before that, if I did anything to help people, I was arrested. I remember that I was teaching Holy Quran for the kids in the mosque and the masjid, and one of the police officers entered the masjid and arrested me while I was sitting with the children. And I tell him, I only have the Holy Quran. I don't have a weapon under it. And he taken me out there.
Tahir was held here in the state security prison at Giza. He claims that, like thousands of others, he was routinely tortured.
My feeling to be here. I feel angry. You know, I didn't take my revenge yet. Maybe every day I put my head on my bed, I close my eyes and dream. I crash into this silly building that I am entering there with a gun, a big gun. They killed my friends, they killed my people, they killed our freedom for years, for 30 years.
Tahir comes from a religious family of teachers and scholars, Salafis, inspired by the Saudi Arabian model of Islam.
First floor is my uncle's gymnastic. Second floor is my uncle's first wife. The third floor is my uncle's second wife. Fourth floor, my uncle's another wife. في ظل حكم مبارك كان إضافة قوانين تكره في الجواز وتحبب في الزنا. فدي كانت أحد أهداف الثورة، إن إحنا نحارب التغريب. وظالمة الراجل جدا ومخليها الست فوق الراجل ب100 مرة.
For Tahir, his family and friends, the Mubarak regime had sold out to the West. They were all imprisoned for their beliefs.
يعني يمكن كانوا يبقى يعني يدوب داخل في خط الجماعات، أول ما يطلقت يرجع بقى بسم الله ما شاء الله علامة. يوميها
كان بيعسى 9 سنين و8 شهور مثلا 10 شهور.
واحد يفكر دلوقتي يقدم ايه خير للبلد دي وخير للناس دي.
عم حسن ما بيفكرش، احنا بنعمل.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لقد شهدت مصر خلال الأشهر ال6 الماضية أحداثا كبارا.
The fall of Mubarak after 30 years has unsettled the whole country. The head of the new military council, General Tantawi, appeals for order.
والتفاف حول هدف واحد هو أن مصر أولا كي نواجه التحديات والصعاب في توجه جاد نحو مواقع العمل والإنتاج. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Gigi's father owns a clothing factory on the outskirts of Cairo. Since the revolution, his workers, like many all over Egypt, are demanding more rights and better pay. He can't even visit his own factory.
I don't go to the factory because if I go, people, maybe 80%, 70% will strike. If the workers stop working, it's disaster. Everybody thinks the revolution, that means I'm getting salary now 1,000, I will get 5,000. This is what you call freedom. Gigi went to my factory and she turned the people against me. My worker turned against me because of Gigi. She told me, ask your daughter. I think she's the communist.
Gigi and her comrades are using social networking to agitate across the country and organize strikes.
تضامن أحد أولياء الأمور مع المعلمين. This is how exactly I would have expected our revolution to go. There is a striking school at least in every governance. Doctors are also striking.
The fall of Mubarak is just the beginning. Gigi wants to destroy the old system that made her father.
This is the disagreement that I've had with my dad, is like he wanted to engage in the system, the corrupted system, to make his life and his family's life better. Why am I okay with this?
يلا اصحى بقى عشان تشوف التليفون ولا لا. مش تروح قوم هنا اهو.
طيب خلاص.
طب يلا قوم.
The revolution has done nothing to help Ahmed. Even though he has a diploma in telecommunications, he is still looking for work.
When I go for jobs that suit my qualifications, they only take people who bribe them or who have contacts. I think it's high time for me to repay my mother for everything.
As a widow, Awatef put her sons through college herself.
So many times I haven't eaten so I can feed my kids. I lay on the bed all night with a stomachache so painful I couldn't sleep. Mubarak did nothing for his people. He never felt anything for the suffering of his people. There are so many much poorer than me.
Despite his diploma, the only work Ahmed has been offered is in a clothing factory.
الو مساء الخير يا استاذ حنش. عارف مين معاك يا باشا ولا مش عارف؟ انا احمد حسن اللي قابلت سيادتك النهارده ازيك؟ الله يخليك يا استاذ حنش. على ميعادنا ان شاء الله. ماشي تحت امرك. ماشي مع السلامه. الف سلامه. السلام. حاجه تقرف.
He's scared of me because I was part of the revolution that toppled the Mubarak regime. The revolutionaries are the bravest men in Egypt.
Ahmed decides to rejoin the revolutionaries on Tahrir Square.
هو بس انا وياكم لسه متخانقين مع بعض. انا وامي لسه متخانقين بسبب التحرير.
وبعدين انت الكبير بتاعي يعني.
يا ده الكبير بس صغير.
يعني انت الكبير عندك انت يعتبر.
دي اكتر حاجه اتعقدت فيها في حياتي. يا ريتني ما اتولدت الكبير.
انا بقعد بالاسبوع ما بشوفكش. صح ولا لا؟
صح.
طيب انا لازم اقلق عليك.
ما هو انت حتى لو قلت لي ما تروحش ما انا مش هسمع الكلام.
لان بيقولوا عليكم كلام مش كويس في ميدان التحرير.
يقولوا ايه المشكله؟
عشان تعرف هما ميدان التحرير ده مش كويس، بيعملوا حاجات مش كويسه، بيخطئوا فيه ويعملوا فيه، وامريكا بتجيب لهم وامريكا بتودي لهم، وانتوا عملاء لاسرائيل وامريكا.
والله يا ريت.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أهالينا الكرام ضيوفنا الأعزاء ندعوكم جميعا.
For so long driven underground, politics is now on the streets all over the country. Tahir has joined the new Party of Light, born out of his conservative Salafi movement.
احنا مرجعيتنا ان احنا عاوزين نخلي تطبيق الشريعه تعم على جميع مجالات مصر ومنها الاعلام. فبناء عليه احنا هنحاول نعمل اسلمه للاعلام. مش هيكون اعلام ممل. مش هنلغي جانب التسليه من الاعلام. مش هنمنع جانب السينما. هنجيب الجوانب الحلال اللي موجوده وهنشيل الجوانب المحرمه تماما.
Under Mubarak, the Salafis operated as a secret charity.
احنا عملنا كعمل سواء كعمل حزبي او كعمل خيري بنحاول ان احنا نوصل التبرعات اللي بتجينا بنوصلها للناس.
Now they work from district to district, openly using donations to win over possible supporters.
من المرضى بتوع السرطان احنا جايين نتبرع وهم بيوحشوا عنكم تبرعات.
يا باشا فين هي الثوره؟ فين هي الثوره؟
Accompanied by one of his party leaders, the purpose is to get noticed.
الاستاف في الداخل منع حضرتك من الدخول بشكل تعسفي.
منعني من ان انا اطلع لمريض اتيله.
جاي ادي حاجه لناس علشان عيانين. انا مش عاوز اطلع في الحساب، مش ضامنكم. انا عايز اديهم بايديا، انت تمنعني ليه؟
صار مكتوب بختم الاسم اولا مش غلط.
انا جايه انا عايزه ادي فلوس للناس دي غيابه، خلوا عندكم ذره ضمير تمشوا ورا الغلط على طول.
Tahir relishes the competition with more established groups like the Muslim Brotherhood.
They have the TV. They can sit on their air conditioners and speak to the people through the TV. While now we are going to the street among the people to speak with them, to help them, to be with them in their difficulties, and that's what we do.
On the weekend of July the 28th, the Salafis and the Muslim Brotherhood come together to put on a show of force and claim the revolution for Islam. Ahmed is concerned that the Islamists have a different agenda from the revolutionaries. By chance, he runs into Tahir.
ممكن اسالكم سؤال كلكم كده وانتوا واقفين؟ مش احنا سمعنا ان الاسلاميين جايين علشان يفضوا الاعتصام بالقوه؟ احنا سمعنا. هل حد فيكم صدق الكلام ده؟
لا
يعني انتوا مكذبين الكلام ده وعاوزين ان احنا ننجز في المحاكمات.
انا عندي سؤال بقى لو ايديكم في ايدينا اهلا وسهلا بيكم. احنا عايزين تحددوا موقفكم بالكامل من ناحيه اتجاه الثوره المصريه بالكامل اللي هو التطهير الكامل. انتوا مع الثوار اللي هيغيروا بقى، ما دام الثوار بيقولوا مجلس عسكري فاسد يبقى انتوا كمان تقولوا مجلس عسكري فاسد، يبقى احنا ما نشوفش من رؤيتك انت او من رؤيه حد تاني، لا ما دام هي رؤيتنا كلنا يبقى احنا كلنا على هدف واحد.
وانا معاكم بقول لكم ان احنا كاسلاميين نازلين متضامنين مع مطالب التحرير الشرعيه.
Speakers call on the military to fulfill their promise of elections and to try Mubarak.
اللهم إن تهلك هذه العصابة فلن تعبد في الأرض. دم رصاص برصاص، دم رصاص برصاص. لما كان أي مذهب ضد الإسلام هو اللي يحكم هذه البلد، فمن أين أتى الله بكم يا شباب؟ اللهم انصر دينك. الإسلام يحكم.
ده جيش مصر ولا أي كلام. يعني عمل تمام مالكش وظيفة معينة. مبسوط عشان المسلمين نزلوا الميدان، مبسوط عشان المسلمين نزلوا الميدان، الحمد لله رب العالمين.
انا حط اليدين عليه هو يطلع عشان هو امور، انا ماليش دعوه.
The next day, Ahmed's mother, Awatef, sets out to find him. The Islamists have taken over the square. She discovers that women no longer have a place there. As she tries to make her way through, the men object. Finally, she has to meet Ahmed on the edge of the square, but her problems are not over.
صورك وانت عماله قاعده تشحتي.
لا يا عم مش
والله هيقول لك بتشحت.
بتشحت مين اللي قال لك كده؟ احنا معاهم اصلا.
بقول لك عليها لو سمحت.
أنا وأحمد فجاي واحد يقول لي قاعدين في الأرض.
Why are you sitting on the ground? You look like beggars.
على الأسفلت.
I was upset when he humiliated me.
كانوا جايين كده.
They were like Iranians, not Egyptians. To be honest, I don't know anything about Iran, but I hear they're evil. They don't act like normal people. I don't like it.
مش عاجبني.
أيود أحدكم أن تكون له
طب ما أنت لو مسكت
If they come to power, will they let women work? Will they give me handouts so I can sit at home? Or are they going to make mincemeat of me for working?
ولا تفرموني.
Within days of the demonstration, the military high command fulfill one promise. They deliver Hosni Mubarak, their former commander-in-chief, for trial. The man who for 30 years had been seen as crucial for maintaining peace in the Middle East. He is accused of ordering the killing of the protesters in January.
النهارده عملت الشغل بتاعي كله غالبه اتعطل. كل الاستاف اللي المفروض يشتغل معانا سواء في الشغل بتاع حزب النور او الشغل البرايفت بتاعنا كله معتذر. معلش المحاكمه ترى لو سمحت.
Tahir watches the trial with his mother and brother-in-law, along with the whole nation.
هو انت متخيل في يوم ان يحصل كده؟
لا طبعا ما كنتش اتخيل ان يحصل كده. بس انا عندي ثقه ان ربنا كان هيعمل فيه كده يعني سواء حيا او ميتا يعني. الكلام ده ما جاش غير بعد الضغوط اللي احنا قمنا بيها على المجلس العسكري. يبقى انا مش عاوز بعد ما بيتحاكم ان انا ابالغ في الضغوط.
لا وكلمة المتهم محمد حسني مبارك Watching this makes me remember all the chants. We will put you in the cage when the revolution will come. It's like all of our hard work are finally paying off. مش المصريين الأحرار طبعا. ولا It's good.
Back at her sister's, Gigi finds that even her aunt has changed her tune.
إيه رأيك في اللي بيحصل؟
شوفي انا الاول كنت ضد الكلام الدوشه اللي عاملينها دي، بعد ما كنت اقول حرام قلت لا يستاهلوا يا رب فعلا يموتوا ومدان عام كمان. والله
سكسس.
ايوه ما تسمعي بقى ان هو كان بيشرب ميه بمعدلات مش عارفه ايه وبيوريفايد لأقصى درجه. الكلب بتاعه ولا كلب ابنه اللي مات دوت بيشرب معرفش ايه. يا رب اللي هيجي يكون كويس. نلغي بقى 30 سنه فوق ونجي بقى من اول كده لسه مولود جديد بيتولد ونربيه يطلع بقى حلو.
At the same time as putting Mubarak on trial, the military clear Tahrir Square of protesters and clamp down on any form of dissent. Over 12,000 civilians have been tried in military courts. Gigi has been briefly detained by the military for filming at a strike. As soon as she's released, she's back in front of the military courts, tweeting to her 30,000 followers.
He was like yelling and he was just like, and I'm gonna kill you, and I'm like, you know, I'm looking at him and I'm just like, I want to know why am I arrested? I need a lawyer. Like, don't touch my stuff. If they show them that you are weak or that you are afraid, they really crack on you. So I knew that I have to hold it together.
Filming on her phone, she and a friend confront an army officer.
في قانون بيحكمني انا ملتزمه بيه حضرتك. طيب انت عارفه القانون اللي بيحكمك اللي ملتزمه بيه؟ انا عارفاه والمفروض ان انا اتحاكم بيه. عارفاه كويس؟ اكيد. احد الحاجات اللي في القانون اللي كل الناس للاسف فاكره ان هي فاهماه كويس ان القضاء العسكري بيحدد اختصاصاته. يعني ايه بيحدد اختصاصاته؟ طبقا لظروف البلد بيبتدي يحدد اختصاصاته. يعني في البلد دلوقتي شغب يعني حصل ثوره بقى شغب ثوره شايف ان الثوره زي الشغب. ما نزلتوش الميدان يوم 28 ما شفتوش. انت على فكره صحفيه فعلا. اصل الجيش ما كانش هو التعمد استفزاز الاخر ولا التعمد اسمعوا اللي بيحصل ان انا بتفاجئ ان حسني مبارك بقاله. هاخد التليفون.
Back home, Gigi's father is worried for his daughter.
هتتقلب اصلا. الدنيا اذا كان في ساعه الدنيا كانت
اتقلبت. الدنيا مقلوبه، انت مش
لا عليا يعني
تدي الدنيا على. Here is a good one. I will give you this. You don't know the bad side of the country. You don't know the ugly face, the ugly face of the army and the ugly face of the government. She wanted quick, and this is the youth people. The youth, they are always hurry. They want it fast. This democratic, it takes time. You have to teach the people how to think.
He now wants the army to remain in power.
Something is going on, we don't understand it really. It's not clear yet to everybody. But
is the army trying to stay in power?
Well, and the army have to stay in power because we don't know the democracy. This is the first time to feel free, to feel this.
Wow, ما فيش freedom. Politically, we just completely disagree on everything. I mean, you've heard. It's very difficult to talk about it with him because it's very personal to me, and it's my dad. If I look at him in a political way, it's gonna be very, very conflicting to the point that I would have to choose, and I don't never want to put myself in this position. And if at some point I have to choose, like, I might just not choose my dad.
On September the 26th, the military council finally announced parliamentary elections for the end of the year. All the polls point to a win for the Muslim Brotherhood, who have a presence all over the country. The Tahir Salafi party, the campaign is an opportunity to spread their more conservative message. He is proud of their new election posters.
Mr. Mohammed Merna, Miss Abad Ahmed, without picture. She's covering her face. Some scholars say that you cannot show a picture from her, and others say that you can show a picture from her. It is freedom, her decision.
The Salafi election advert confronts popular fears of their extremism.
عمو هو فعلا زي ما الناس بتقول ان حزب النور هيلبس الستات النقاب بالعافية؟
لا طبعا الكلام ده مش صحيح، لان ديننا دين رحمة، لكن في شغلها هنحافظ لها على كرامتها ونوفر لها بيئة عمل مناسبة. هنبني مصر جديدة، وانت كمان عشان تطمني قومي تعالي معايا. نفسنا كل مدارسنا تبقى كده في المستقبل، بمستوى علمي وتربوي متقدم. هنشغل ولادنا.
The message has a strong appeal in the conservative countryside. Tahir travels out of Cairo to secure the support of an old friend and village mayor, Mohammed Abdel Samad.
بص البنت لابسه حجاب ازاي
Tahir invites his friend to his wedding at the end of the year.
مبروك تتجوز بالقرية. الزوجة الثانية إن شاء الله هتبقى في الجنة. هي زوجة واحدة بس. وأنا بقولها أهو. سامعاني؟ مش الثالثة كانت على ايديا؟
I wait number 4.
He is waiting for number 4.
Mohammed has been in power for as long as Mubarak.
أنا المركب لها رئيس واحد وعشان كده ما بتغرقش يعني. القاهرة المركب في القاهرة لها 100 رئيس. المركب هنا لها رئيس واحد اللي هو قدامك دلوقتي يعني. في أحكامنا اللي داخل القرية بنستند إلى الشريعة الإسلامية.
This to Tahir is Salafi Egypt.
هنا البنت هنا بتتجوز عندها كام سنة يا جماعة؟ 15 17 وهي عندها 25 سنة بقى معاها 5 6 عيال.
وظيفة الست.
شوف الستات عايزين راجل.
شوف تربية الأطفال بس هو ده البنت.
هم مش منتمين لجماعة سلفية بس هم كفكرهم يفكروا بالفكر بتاع السنة والسلف الصالح والصحابة والفكر سيدنا النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم زي المسلمين كلهم يعني.
October the 6th is Army Day, Egypt's annual holiday, which this year would dissolve into violence that threatened to derail the elections. As usual, the holiday begins with celebrations of the army's victory over Israel in 1973.
I pray that I can join the army. Maybe there are people waiting for someone to say no, and we can all say no together.
The holiday gives Gigi the chance of a weekend on the Red Sea.
رايحة طابة تبع قافلة التضامن لقصر الحصار على غزة أجيال من الابتسام كده يعني ولا رحلة صباح الخير. I hate to disappoint you, I'm going to كاس الزمان يعني لا غزة. So come on baby get in. Get in, just get in. Check out the trouble we're in. دموع. Oh, look at that. Oh, it's so beautiful.
Maybe off record.
Oh,
The
yeah?
Salafi guys and all his family won't be happy seeing this part of Gigi's movie.
Oh, that's never gonna happen. They're never gonna ban bikini. This is like suppression of, you know, freedom of expression.
If the Salafis get power, would he regret the revolution?
It's not gonna happen. I really believe that it will never happen in Egypt. We will never be another Iran where there's an Islamic government or the Salafis would get in power or the Muslim Brotherhood would get in power because it just does not work in Egypt.
Back in Cairo, a protest by the Christian minority against discrimination is broken up by soldiers guarding the state TV station. It turns into the most serious violence since the January Revolution.
ايه اللي حصل يا باشا؟ ايه اللي حصل؟ خربوا بيوتنا، يعني ايه اللي حصل؟ الدبابات بجدتها فينا زي الكلاب، كلاب لوحدهم كده دخلوا شيل 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 يلا. حصل له ايه؟
The authorities clamp down on reporting. Independent TV stations are broadcasting live clashes between the demonstrators and the army when soldiers appear in the studio to take them off air.
لا أعلم ما الذي يحدث تحديدا يعني. لا أعلم إذا كنت على الهواء أم لا. إحنا على الهواء. إحنا على الهواء.
State television appeals to the Muslim majority, accusing the Christians of setting out to destabilize the country.
معكم من خلال برنامج اتجاهات يمكن أكثر من 3 شهداء 20 مصاب وكلهم من جنود الجيش وبأيدي من؟ ليس بأيدي الإسرائيليين أو بأيدي عدو ولكن بأيدي فئة من أبناء الوطن جراء إطلاق المتظاهرين الأقباط المحتشدين أمام مبنى اتحاد الإذاعة والتلفزيون النار عليهم.
Friends call Ahmed to come down to the demonstration. Using his own camera, he decides to take on the role of reporter.
النهارده 9 اكتوبر وبعد اللي حصل من الجيش انه يفرم الاقباط قدام مسبير يدوس عليهم بالمدرعات ويرجع يقول مش انا اللي ضربتهم مش انا اللي دوست عليهم ويولع في المدرعات يبقى ده افتراء.
Gigi is stranded at the beach.
أقباط هما اللي ضربوا مسلحين وضربوا وقتلوا جيش. يا لهوي يا لهوي.
She is told the army and Islamic groups are forming an alliance to crush protest.
Something seems to happen. People are chanting Islam and the army are one hand and run to us. Democracy Now! Egyptian state TV is completely distorting tonight's events, airing interviews of soldiers saying the Christians began by beating and shooting them.
27 protesters die. The authorities accuse invisible hands for the deaths, until footage appears online showing army vehicles running over protesters. The dead are brought to the morgue of the local hospital. Among them is one of Ahmed's fellow fighters from the January Revolution.
أنا مش عارف أقول إيه يعني مينا الله يرحمه هو توفى استشهد هو عند ربنا. الراجل كان طول عمره الناس بتحبه في الميدان الناس بتقدره كان شاب محترم وكل الناس بتحبه بس الدم بيزيد لدرجة إن إحنا بينا ناكل في بعض مش فاهمين.
Another of his friends is injured. They both feel the army has betrayed them.
مذبحة بجد لأن إيه ده مش جيش والشعب ده بقى جيش وشرطة وبلطجية إيد واحدة. لازم يحصل إن الشعب يصدق الناس دي يصدق إن الجيش هو اللي عمل كده.
The military continue to blame the protesters for the violence that is putting the elections at risk. At his weekly Quran class, Tahir is clear who was at fault.
في مجموعة من القساوسة عايزين يولعوا البلد ده. عايزين يعملوا فتنة طائفية.
هما بيعملوا ايه؟
يعني الأول عملوا فتنة انتوا رأيكم ايه في المفروض نعامل المسيحيين ازاي؟ استنى في واحد بيقول بالدم وفي واحد بيقول ايه؟ بالدم. اللي موافق على ان احنا نعاملهم بالرحمة لا
يا مسلم لو اشد علينا اللي يضرب نفسه.
مين اللي علمك انك تقول ان احنا نعامل المسيحيين بالدم؟ المسيحي هتخش النار.
طب قتلوا الجيش يا شيخ.
انت زعلان عشان هم قتلوا الجيش؟ ايوه بس مش كل المسيحيين عملوا كده.
اشهر دول قالوا علينا مجانين في الاخبار. قالوا علينا مجانين وقالوا لو المسلمين مجانين احنا مش هنعيش مع مجانين وقالوا احنا سكتنا على ان المسلمين يعيشوا معانا عشان كده قلت ان لازم نعاملهم بالدم.
The demonstrators are now labelled as enemies. When Ahmed returns to the barbers, his friend Imad from the Muslim Brotherhood openly challenges him.
انت كنت بتضرب في الجيش انا بتكلم
عشان بيدوس على الناس بالمدرعات.
الجيش هو اللي كان بيدوس؟
هو اللي كان بيدوس.
ماشي الجيش كان بيدوس.
امال مين اللي بيدوس؟ لا ما مش
اخوك ابن عمك اعتقد لما تضرب اخوك اللي في الجيش بيقضي خدمه عشان خاطر تضربه.
انا مش هضرب اخويا في الجيش.
معقول حرام حتى.
طب ما هو يحكم مصر وانت كل جمعه بتطلع له حكايه.
ما هو ما بيعملش الحكايه الاولانيه عشان كده بيخليني اطلع الجمعه اللي بعدها.
مطيع عليه. ايوه بس هي ان شاء الله بس عايزه صبر شويه. عايزه صبر.
هو ده بقى اللي مجنني.
اصبر شويه ليه عشان خاطر ما تساعدش على انك انت تبني.
صح.
انت عايز تساعد انك انت تبني مش انك انت تبني. السلام عليكم.
السلام عليكم الشيخ. مش فاهمين الوضع. بيداووا الشباب مش بدل ما يقفوا معاهم. بس مش عارف ده غلط ولا صح. يا ريت الواحد كان يفكر في نفسه كان رايح دماغه. انا مالي زي كتير قوي بيقول انا مالي. انا ما بقولش انا مالي. لا مالي مادام شايف غلط بيتعمل يبقى مالي لازم اقول لا ده غلط وده صح وده غلط وده صح.
Invite people, prepare the place, get the car, get my suit, get her dress, get the
Tahir has both an election and a wedding to organize.
عجمي where are you? انت فين؟ يا ابني سيب التحرير بقى جوازي بكره يا ابني بكره هتجوز يا ابني. اسمها بص سموها مليونية الزواج. الله انت ودينا تحليل حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل. So many ambulances are going to just pick up injuries from Tahrir Square. God be with us. No, I don't agree about the protesters. They want unorganized chaos, so that this chaos continue, and Islamic groups and Islamic parties couldn't reach and rule the country. Liberal groups, Coptic groups is the only one who is behind these protests. You know? I don't mean behind these protests. I mean they are behind the violence that happens. Okay. Who else? Wael, my cousin Wael.
For Tahir, the violence is now a conspiracy to subvert the elections.
المفروض والله العظيم المشير يضرب بأقوى من كده. مش واحد هناك يا عم بيفتح بقه لو بياخد بالجزمة، مش فاهم في ايه. الفنجري مش عاجبهم، المشير مش عاجبهم، مفيش حد عاجبهم.
With a week to the elections, downtown Cairo is a battleground. The revolutionaries, who had inspired the January uprising, now see the military council as a brutal continuation of the Mubarak regime. They want justice for those killed. Just a few streets away, campaigning continues. The Muslim Brotherhood and the Salafis are determined that the elections go ahead. So is the military council.
فأرجو إن كل واحد يدلي بصوته ويأمن الانتخابات، يا إما هتكون العواقب في منتهى الخطورة على مصر.
On the 28th of November, Egypt's first ever democratic elections are held. For so many, this is the triumph of the revolution.
أول مرة بالأمانة نشوف النظام ده والاستقرار دوت والهدوء دوت، ويا رب صوتنا يوصل فعلا يا رب، وبنحيي القوات المسلحة على المجهود اللي هي عاملاه دوت بأمانة.
Just a year ago, Tahir was living under constant threat of imprisonment for his religious activities.
He voted.
Now he is confident that the elections will bring real change.
You are not going to get down to the street and find alcohol market. You are not going to find that, inshallah. We are not, the government is not going to support that anymore.
Gigi spends the day filming and tweeting as an unofficial monitor.
الوجبات لمين؟ المندوبين. صور ذيع. وريني. هات والنبي، عشان ده حلو قوي الصحافة دي حلوة جدا ناخدها منكم. طب حاول بقى كده، شوف وريني هتعمل ايه، وريني هتاخدها ازاي. بتوزع وجبات.
She refuses to vote because of the violence and the continued detention of her fellow protesters.
Of course, what we're living under right now is much worse than Mubarak days, but that doesn't mean that we want Mubarak days to be back. No, this means that we're that much closer to freedom.
If Egypt become a Muslim state, Gigi might leave, or she will fight and she will go to jail. She doesn't understand yet. She still thinks she can change. She can do more. Even if she lose her life, this is for our father. It's very scary for me.
This is the revolution. No, freedom doesn't come easily, and we have to pay in sacrifices of blood, arrests, injuries for us to win this battle and at the end win this war.
Ahmed is back on the square, with no intention of voting.
دس الأطفال والحريم قبل الرجالة قبليهم. الدايرة الأولى عملوا منها فتحة اللي يخرج منها يتكهرب واللي مات مات. وقفت مرة واحدة وقفت رجالة وغرف 60,000 داعية يا إخوان. زفت الأحزاب كل اللي باع الثورة وباع الشعب وباع الناس. وبعد كده كل واحد يشوف مصلحته، يشوف شغله ويشوف حياته ويشوف البلد هتعمل له ايه والدنيا تتظبط. لكن غير كده ما ينفعش.
When the election results are announced, as expected, the Muslim Brotherhood end up as the biggest party. Tahir's wedding turns into a double celebration. His Salafi party have taken almost a quarter of the vote.
I feel that like I'm flying in the sky.
His father wants an end to chaos.
ويثبت عقول الذين يجلسون في التحرير ويرجعون جميعا إلى صوابهم.
Tahir's plans for an Islamic Egypt are a step closer. And if the military attempt to stand in the way, the Salafis and the Muslim Brotherhood now have the strength to challenge them.
Me, myself, after 6 months, if the military council didn't fulfill their job and didn't get us a new president, I will get with all the Salafists and all the Islamic Brotherhood and all the power I can put together against them because they didn't fulfill anything.
For the Islamic parties, Egypt's revolution has for the first time brought the chance of real power. But for many of those who went to Tahrir Square last January to overthrow a dictatorship, the new Egypt has yet to be born.
لو هتتكلم يبقى ما تلفش ظهرك، لف بوشك. واللي بيتكلم ورا بيقول عايز يا عم يا عم هو يا عم في ايه يا عم؟ كل ده دم. يا راجل